Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us in another of the Detroit Regional Chamber's town halls. And today will be a really interesting conversation to learn about inside the U.S. Army National Hiring Days. I'm Tammy Carnreich. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Detroit Chamber, but I'm also very honored to serve in the position of Civilian Aide to Secretary of the Army, Michigan. This discussion will focus on the U.S. Army's current talent recruitment initiatives, including Army National Hiring Days, an effort which is currently underway. It has been a long campaign and now it's about to end, but we're doing it today because it is a special day, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Today I'll be speaking with Major General Darren Werner, who is the Commanding General, U.S. Army TakeOn at the Detroit Arsenal. Major General Werner will offer insight on the Army's effort to attract individuals to over 150 different career options in 50 plus healthcare specialties. So we really are excited about this conversation and to share it, since we know that talent recruitment is an issue for everyone, but particularly we need all of you to better understand the opportunities that exist within the Army for talent. So, welcome, General Werner. I should tell the audience we are having some video difficulties, so General Werner is going to be with us on audio, and should the video capability get fixed in the interim, then he'll come on and join us himself. But General Werner, it's a pleasure having you today to discuss a very important effort within the U.S. Army. But before we go there, today is a very special day for the U.S. Army. Would you like to share with those watching why this day is special?
Absolutely, Tammy. Thank you first. I want to thank you and the Detroit Regional Chamber for inviting me to participate on this very special day as part of your town hall guest speaker. Today, the 14th of June, some of you recognize it as Flag Day. I recognize it as the birthday of the U.S. Army. Today, the Army marks its 246th birthday, and we don't look at that lightly. We've served our nation proudly for 246 years, and if you look across the United States and you think about organizations that has endured the test of time, the Army certainly has. And what has been the Army's success has been its ability to adapt to the nation's requirements, to represent our country in the best possible way it can. So I'm really excited that I can spend time with you today, Tammy, and the Detroit Regional Chamber to talk a little bit about National Hiring Days, talk about the Army, and talk about U.S. Army Tank-automotive and Armaments Command here in the beautiful area that we reside, which is, for me, on Mound Road, right next to all of the auto industry's highest operating technical centers in the world. So we're right in the exact perfect spot to be part of our nation's technology center. So I'll turn it back over to you, Tammy.
You went right where I was going to go. I was going to tell you, I've had the pleasure of working with TakeOn, I think, for probably over 12 years, even before I was Civilian Aide to Secretary of the Army. And a lot of that time is spent trying to provide awareness about what TakeOn is and what it does. So maybe you could take just a few minutes to highlight the significance of TakeOn to our region from an economy standpoint, procurement, hiring.
Okay, that would be great. And I'd like to start just by saying TakeOn is part of an organization here that's assigned at Detroit Arsenal that is three elements of the Army. The Army is divided up, as any large organization, into different organizations, and TakeOn is the lead element here at Detroit Arsenal for Army Materiel Command. But we also share Detroit Arsenal with two other organizations. One is Army Futures Command, and the other is our Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. Each one of those organizations at the higher level, which is, in the Army parlance, that's 4-star level and above, those organizations work together to create funding and priorities to meet the Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Army's objectives. And they and the Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Army are working directly for the President and Congress. So what we do here at Detroit Arsenal is we partner. Those three different elements come together uniquely here at Detroit Arsenal to deliver technology and work acquisition, and then ensure the readiness of new equipment as well as our legacy equipment that we maintain all the time. What does that mean? That means over $30 billion per year are allocated to the commands here to ensure the Army is going in the direction it needs to, so that our equipment is ready, so our soldiers have the best possible equipment in the world to execute their missions. And then in addition, it also is focused on research and development and acquisition. Our Army Futures Command contingent that's here, our cross-functional team for the next generation combat vehicle, along with our ground vehicle support center, which are engineers. They work together to look at what's next, what's coming in the future for our Army. And then they also work on ensuring the safety of our equipment. Our engineers here spend a significant amount of time reviewing and updating the equipment's, the processes we use to maintain our equipment, so that we ensure that everything that's out in the field with our soldiers today is safe. If we identify that there could be a fault with something, or we identify a weakness in one of our systems, our engineers dive into it, figure out what the problem is, or create some corrective actions, and then we execute those corrective actions out across the Army. But over $30 billion worth of revenue that comes through Detroit Arsenal into the community in the local area, but also the bigger community across not only Southeast Michigan, but across the United States.
And real quickly, General Werner, the employment. I think that always surprises everyone to know how many are actually employed out there in Warren.
Yes, so across the entire
Oh, I think we're having a little audio difficulty. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, we have about 10,000 people that work here at Detroit Arsenal between each one of the different commands. It's right around 9,560 roughly. But in the current environment with COVID, and as we recover from the COVID pandemic, we're starting to see our teammates come back onto the Arsenal, where we have quite a bit going on between those three different organizations I talked about. Our engineers, our logistics specialists, and our soldiers that work here are coming back into the Arsenal. And for those of you that live in the local area, you can see the traffic kind of pick up a little bit.
Yeah, significant asset to our region for sure. So let's get to the discussion of Army National Hiring Days. Why is the Army carrying out a campaign of Army National Hiring Days, and why is that so important?
So the Army looks at our opportunities to share our story with the United States population annually around the birthday of the Army. So our story is a great story to be told, and we don't necessarily always do the best job of getting out into the communities and making sure everybody understands how advantageous serving your nation is, not only to you personally, but to our communities. And so we make it a point to get out into our communities, and I do that as much as we possibly can. And just over the last several weeks, I've made several trips out into the community to talk about serving your nation, serving your country, supporting and defending the Constitution, and commitment to not only young high schoolers or college students, but also just to the population. We are in looking for our very, very best, and in what we do during the National Hiring Days is we make an effort to tell that Army story to the local community.
There's a wide diversity of career options, and obviously we wouldn't have enough time in this 30 minutes together to go over it all, but just could you give a few examples that might surprise people of what the career options could be?
So in today's Army, it's more than just riflemen or infantrymen or artillerymen. We have those requirements, and which are open to all genders. There are no restrictions in the Army on gender. There are no jobs that are limited just to males or just females. It's open to both males and females. And those jobs range from everything traditional military that you can think of to things like data analytics and computer programming and robotic engineering. In the medical field, the whole array of medical science is represented by our Department of Defense health practitioners. So we're on the lookout for individuals who are looking to begin their career or extend their career in those areas. We particularly just had a great example of a change that we make in the Army, and as I said in the opening comments, the Army is a great place for us to represent our nation in a way that's unlike any place else in our country. The Army is very, very much adaptive, and we can change pretty quickly. As an organization goes, a million plus soldiers, and when you add in the Reserve and National Guard and Department of the Army civilians, there's a significant amount of our population, still only about 1% of our population, but a significant amount of our population that is represented in the Army, and we can make a change pretty quickly. When the direction comes from the Army senior leaders, our military adjusts quickly. And we're a great example of diversity and equity and inclusion inside of our community of the military.
So in my position, one of the areas that I didn't know about until I started serving in this role is there's a need for medical professionals who are currently in their professional careers to also come in and assist the Army. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Our medical community that is represented here in the Army it extends from doctors and nurses and every type of specialty, but it also includes our young people who want to start their military or their medical careers. Is in something as simple as what I did when I entered the military. Is I entered as a combat medic, as my first assignment in the Army National Guard here in Michigan. I started the process of gaining an understanding of the medical world just by being a combat medic and becoming capable of servicing soldiers on the battlefield. And now if you look across the entire complexity of the military, we have full healthcare centers. We have every medical specialty represented in our medical community, including dietitians and physical therapists and you name it, we have those within our organization. And can you start out just coming out of high school or maybe after a few years out of high school, can you enter into the military and get the training you need to become a dental hygienist or a registered nurse or even a doctor? You absolutely can. The Army offers that up through our recruiting programs, and if you're interested, that opportunity is out there.
Can you talk about the impact of the Army's recruiting efforts on readiness?
Absolutely. So the way the Army functions, we function with soldiers who come into the service, who come in and volunteer to join our Army, and they'll serve anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and then they'll make a decision whether they continue to serve or not. Not every soldier stays in the military for 20 or 30 years. I've been in the Army for 36 years. And every time a time comes up for me to start over again, to re-enlist, if you will, as an officer, I don't enlist in the Army anymore, but when I was an enlisted soldier, I would re-enlist proudly. Some soldiers are focused on coming into the military and getting meet a specific objective, maybe to gain enough money to go to college or or maybe they have some objective that they're trying to meet. Maybe they just want to do one assignment as a soldier to give back to their nation. So once they've done that and they depart the Army, we have to refill the ranks. And just like in any big business, we are in constant need of more soldiers to enter into the service. There's no break. There's a constant requirement for us to be continuing to reach out into our communities and find individuals who are willing to support and defend our Constitution and fight and win our nation's wars. And they're everywhere. In the communities that I go to, there are always individuals who are very excited about entering into military service. In some cases, it's a legacy. In a lot of cases, it's someone who wants to be more, they want to be part of something bigger than just themselves. And it's always great to meet those individuals and talk to them and to hear their stories and to understand why they're out there. But we have a constant requirement to fill our ranks, and we'll always have that requirement out there. Our military is about 1% of our population, and it turns over, as you can imagine, very often. Every year we have a recruiting objective, and we do pretty good getting to our recruiting objective. But in today's environment, with COVID and with the economy the way it is, the military may not be the first choice because of maybe you can find a better job getting paid more than a brand new PFC, private first class, that comes in the military. So we have to make sure that we're creating a lot of incentives and making opportunities, and most importantly, making sure everybody understands how important it is that our nation has a strong military.
Okay, so let's bring this home. How is TakeOn planning to recruit for the workforce of the future to meet its modernization needs and the skills needed?
Yeah, so here at TakeOn, we are a little bit different than the rest of the Army in that our majority of our workforce is Department of the Army civilians, not soldiers, but Department of the Army civilians. And that's a unique element of our Army total family. Our Department of the Army civilians, which do everything from acquisition, contracting, logistics management, and all of the other parts of operations and personnel management. Those Department of the Army civilians are incredibly important to our country. What we're doing here at TakeOn is we're looking at where are we going in the future. The future for TakeOn and the Army is really in what you would imagine where we're headed with advanced manufacturing technology. Our strength is in our ability to adapt and be agile and to bring on new concepts and ideas. Some of the new things that we're working with are additive manufacturing or 3D printing. One of our organizations is actually building the largest 3D printer in the world, and it will be located at one of our arsenals outside of the Detroit area, and it will be able to manufacture a full-size, imagine a full-size tank hull using additive manufacturing techniques. Wow. We have to have people that can run those machines, who can operate those machines. So we're developing not only for our current workforce, training and opportunities for our current workforce to be able to operate the new equipment, but we're also recruiting for young scientists and young tradespeople to come on board with skills like robotic programming and data analysis and data analytics.
And everything you're talking about is something that I get very passionate about, which is, the opportunities for interaction, collaboration between the defense industry and the automotive industry. And as you've just described, that's just a sampling of some ways that they can work together. Do you want to talk about that a little more?
Absolutely. We're uniquely located here, as you well know, right in the heart of America's auto industry. And all around us, and I've had the great pleasure and honor to be able to meet with executives and leaders within the different auto industry, automotive companies in the area. and talk about how we can leverage the capabilities that exist in today's advanced technologies into the Army's programs. We are fortunate to have great members in the community who share with us opportunities to have discussions and talk about where we're headed in advanced manufacturing, in Industry 3.0, Industry 4.0, and how we can leverage technology to bring readiness to our soldiers directly, not indirectly, but directly through TakeOn and through other organizations that represent the Army. It's a great partnership. It's gone on it's going to be 80 years next year. TakeOn will have 80 years of partnership here in this area.
That's incredible. You brought up earlier diversity and equity and inclusion. That's probably one of the things I'm most proud of the Army for, is the focus on the importance of diversity. Can you speak to what the Army is doing to ensure there is diversity at every level of the Army?
I sure can, and I'm proud, just like you, Tammy, I'm proud of the Army and how the Army handles equality and equity inside of its force. It's not just words, it's really how you feel. It's the inner feeling that you have about giving everybody a fair chance. And what the one thing I can tell you after serving as a private all the way up to Major General, the Army is not about anything. It's not about the color of your skin or your gender. It's about accomplishing the mission. And I'm so proud to be part of an organization that creates opportunities for everyone, regardless of where they're from, where they grew up, who their parents are, or how much money they have in their bank account. But everybody gets a chance to become a Major General if they so choose, if they work hard. And it's just great to be part of that. And it's been that way for me since the first day I came in the military. And it's never changed. It's always been that way. And I see today it's even more important to us as we look across our country that we recognize that there are challenges out there that we have to acknowledge and recognize. Everybody doesn't get an equal opportunity. And what we have to do is we have to be honest and acknowledge it, and then do something about it. And I can tell everyone who's listening that the Army, the leaders of the Army, from the Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Army through the senior ranks, are all focused on ensuring that everybody gets a chance to do well. It doesn't mean that everybody gets a free pass. It just means you get an opportunity. And I think if we all just had the opportunity to demonstrate to everyone that how good we could possibly be individually, we would all benefit. So inside of the Army, diversity, equity, and inclusion is incredibly important, and it's not something new. It's been around for as long as I've been in the Army, and it will continue on long after I leave, because that's what makes our Army great.
To your point, diversity is a journey. Efforts for diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just something you put a strategy together for 1 or 2 years. It's a long time journey, and I'm sure the Army's building it with sustainability in mind.
Absolutely. I will tell you that if I think back to when I first entered into the military. I entered into the military, and the military was a specific jobs had specific genders. If you wanted to come in, if you're a female and you wanted to be an infantry officer or an infantry soldier, when I first came in the Army, you could not enter into the military as an infantry soldier, as a female. Today, what we've learned is that there is no reason why a female can't execute the missions in the current world of an infantry soldier as a male can. Now, there are basic gender differences between males and females, but because of today's technology and because what we do and how we execute things and just pure grit, I've met plenty of males, plenty of females that have what it takes. It's more than just how much can you bench press. It's about grit. It's about the ability to reach down and execute a mission through to completion. And, you know, I don't care if you're a male or a female, when you've got it, you've got it. And that's what our Army needs. It needs soldiers who are willing to give their life in the defense of our nation and have grit, have the ability to be tough. And when we recruit our soldiers, we make sure they understand that they're able to join any part of the Army, regardless of gender.
So in closing, we've got just a couple of minutes left. For National Army National Hiring Days, there was a virtual career fair that was underway at gotoarmy.com/hiring. Since this is the final day of Army National Hiring Days campaign, will individuals still have the opportunity to explore career opportunities by visiting this site in the future?
It sure will, Tammy. The National Hiring Days is just a focus period when we get out and really try across the whole country to reinforce the Army story. But recruiting goes on every day. So even beyond today and throughout the rest of the year, that website you mentioned, goarmy.com, will be available for anyone to join me and the rest of our soldiers in the U.S. Army. And I will tell you that there is no question that for all of you, if you have friends, you have children, you have individuals who are looking for a way to make a difference in their community and in their country, the United States Army, for that matter, the entire military, is a great place for individuals to begin a lifelong career, whether it's in the military or at least set the good foundation for where they're going to go into the future. I'm proud to be a soldier, and I'm really thankful that you've given us this opportunity to talk about our Army on its birthday.
So what is General Darren Werner's advice for people who might be interested in joining the Army?
So it just depends. It depends on where they're at in their career. There's an opportunity in the military today. If you're an acquisition specialist, you might have a bachelor's or a master's degree in acquisition fields that you can be direct commissioned into the Army today. So there's options out there for so many different people. If you're a soldier or if you're a high school student who just graduated from high school and you're not quite sure what your path is going to take, where you're going to go, that's okay. Joining the military for one enlistment and seeing a little bit about the world and learning about yourself is a great opportunity. If you've been around for a while and maybe you've gotten some college under your belt and you have a degree, the ROTC programs, the officer candidate school programs that are out there will bring you on as an officer into the military, which sets you on a little bit different path than an enlisted soldier, more focused on leadership and leading our soldiers. So, you know, my advice to anybody that's out there that's unsure about what their future is going to bring to them, the military is a great place to start. And I know that's where I went when I graduated from Mayville High School in the Thumb, not that long ago, maybe just a couple of years ago, 1985, and then went off to college. I didn't know how I was going to pay for college. I joined the Michigan National Guard in the Army Reserve actually first, and then the Michigan National Guard later. And the money that I made from going to basic training and going to AIT and then doing my weekend drills got me through college and enabled me to pay my 4 years of college. And then while I was at Central Michigan University, I joined the Reserve Officer Training Corps ROTC program and realized that, you know, this might be what I need and what I want. And it paid off for me, for many people out there as well. So a lot of great opportunities, and it just starts with a visit to the website or a phone call to a recruiter.
Well, General Werner, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. First I would say thank you to you and all of your colleagues out at TakeOn with the Detroit Arsenal and all that you do out there and the commitment to the community, the investment in the community that takes place. I thank you for participating today and sharing all this great information, which I'm sure our audience learned a lot from, especially around the opportunities for career options. But then finally, thank you for your service, sir, and your continued leadership and commitment on behalf of our country and our U.S. Army.
Well, thanks, Tammy. And, it does not go unnoticed by me at the great support that the Army has in this community. And I want to thank you for your service. The service as the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army is a voluntary, you volunteer to do that, and I know it doesn't come at a cost. And we appreciate you helping us carry the Army message and to ensure that our communities understand how important the military is to them and how are the men and women that serve our nation, how important we are to them. And that you are a great representative for that. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, sir. Cool.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I sure will. You too. Thanks.